Kenny? Kenny?
Test 1, 2.
Good evening. I'd like to welcome you to the February 21st, 2023 Planning Commission meeting, regular meeting. If you would, please rise as you are able for a moment of silence and our Pledge of Allegiance. Tonight, please keep in mind Laura Rose, who's experienced a death in her family, and that's why she's not able to be here with us tonight. Repeat with me, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please be seated. Ms. Berry, roll call, please.
Yes, sir. Ms. Townsend? Ms. Butler? Here. Mr. Moyer?
Here.
Ms. Pearson?
Here.
Ms. Thomas? Mr. La Rochelle?
Here.
Dr. Schmidt?
Here.
Mr. Davis?
Here.
Ms. Rose? Mr. Tiller?
Here.
Mr. Bennett?
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much. Our first item of agenda is the approval of the minutes from the January 17th, 2023 Planning Commission meeting. I will entertain any possible changes or a motion.
I'll move to adopt the minutes. Oh, sorry.
Just one motion. Hang on just a
Oh, you have one.
second. Give everybody an
I was
opportunity.
waiting on
first.
everybody
Yeah.
else.
Okay.
Um,
If there's nobody that has any corrections, Ms. Rose did send, Ms. Laura Rose did send in some changes she would like to see addressed in the minutes, and Ms. Berry's going to recite some of those changes, please.
Okay. In the page 1, last paragraph, Ms. Thomas stated she wants the 2023 chair to facilitate meetings. It should read, Ms. Thomas stated she wants the 2023 chair to facilitate efficient meetings and someone who would accept her proposed change to set a time limit for each commissioner during discussions so that meetings do not go on late into the night. As well as page 5, second paragraph, under B, she wants to add the following sentence at the end of the paragraph. There was a discussion among the commissioners about the length and the purpose of the planning commission meetings. Generally, all agreed that everyone should work to be more mindful of the time during discussions, but putting a time limit in the bylaws would not be appropriate. Finally, on page 8, first and second paragraphs, just a few small edits. Harris radio system upgrade as well, vehicle, need to add as before the vehicle. As well as the schools have asked, she would like it to be the schools have requested funds for one replacement of at least 6 buses with the total cost of $685,000. As well, and then number 2, a high school roof replacement project. Number 3, a district-wide lighting upgrade for the inside of the school buildings. And 4, planned replacement of school vehicles. And then finally, Mr. Hathaway, ... major projects would be the colonies. So put a the before colonies. And that's it.
Thank you, Ms. Berry.
You're welcome.
Anybody else? Thank you very much. I will entertain a motion.
I'll move to adopt the minutes with the noted changes.
Roll call, please.
Mr. Moyer,
Aye.
Mr. La Rochelle,
Aye.
Dr. Schmidt,
Aye.
Mr. Tiller,
Aye.
Ms. Butler,
Abstain, I was absent.
Mr. Davis?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Mr. Bennett?
Aye. The minutes are approved. Next on our agenda is a citizen comment period, and if you would check to see if anybody has not signed up or has signed up. Thank you very kindly. There is nobody that signed up for the citizen comment period. Moving along to the next item on the agenda is presentations. Ms. LeDuc, how are they in presentations? Oh, thank you very kindly. And unfinished business as we move along. Anybody? Proceeding along, we will now go to public hearings, and Dr. Schmidt, if you will entertain us, please.
Entertain you? Okay.
Yes.
Not tonight.
Okay.
All right. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Tonight we have one public hearing before us. Each has been properly advertised for tonight's consideration. Let me take a moment to review the procedures that we will use for tonight's hearings. Number one, each public hearing will be considered separately. 2, staff will give a brief overview of the hearing that is before us. 3, the sponsor of the case will be given an opportunity to make a presentation. 4, commissioners will be given an opportunity to ask questions of the sponsors or staff for clarification purposes. 5, I will then open the citizens' comment portion of the public hearing and receive your comments. Sign-up sheets are located on the desk by the front doors of the administration building. I ask the following. You come to the podium, state your name and address for the record, address your comments to the commission, and last, limit your comments to 3 minutes. When the timer sounds, please conclude your remarks. Please note that the commission members will not answer your questions during the citizens' comment period, but will certainly take those questions and comments into consideration during the deliberation period of the public hearing. A public hearing before us tonight is application CUP-06-22, Food Lion LLC and Howard Architecture.
Okay, good evening, everyone. I'm going to give a very brief overview of the application before you tonight. Representatives from Food Lion LLC and Howard Architecture have applied for a conditional use permit to allow for a retail establishment over 30,000 square feet in a business zoning district. The CUP requested is to allow the existing Food Lion grocery store located at 5561 New Kent Highway to fully enclose their grocery cart canopy. The standards for review of CUPs are set forth in Section 98-744 of the Code and are listed in your staff memo. Staff sent the application to all county and state reviewing agencies and did receive some minor comments that would be addressed during the site plan and building permit process. There are 3 suggested conditions listed in Resolution PC-02-23, and there's representatives, the applicant and Mr. Stone from Howard Architecture are here tonight if you have any questions.
Good evening. My name is Gregory Stone with Howard Architecture. We're from Raleigh, North Carolina. We were approached to by Food Lion in order to, we got some complaints about the fact that the customers have to go outside their store and to get the carts before coming in. So they had asked us to apply for this conditional use permit in order to make it to where when you come in the store, you go to the right and the carts would be there inside the store. Mainly, some of the complaints have been that the carts are wet a lot of times when the weather, is rainy, and so, there's been complaints. And most people, when they go to a grocery store, they expect to, when they go inside, to find the carts. In this case, they're not there. They're out underneath the canopy. Anyone have any questions or?
So basically, you're just enclosing the cart area.
Yes, yes, it's all under the existing canopy, so there's actually no
Right.
roof area added. It's just within the existing canopy.
So you'll knock that wall out so that you can get to the,
That's correct.
okay.
That's correct. And then build basically 2 more walls and condition that space. And all the materials, the brick and the stone, everything's going to match the existing so that when it's completely done, you'll never know it was an expansion.
Mr. Stone, what avenues did you or Food Line explore for relief on your own accord versus coming here for a conditional use permit?
Repeat that again?
What avenues, what solutions did you explore before coming here to ask for a conditional use permit?
Well, currently that store is based on a prototype that Food Line uses. And so you have basically the vestibule, which is basically two double sets of doors. You have basically 2 doors to the vestibule going in the store, then 2 coming out. So, and there basically is no area within there to store the carts. And to go in, if you wanted to store the carts within the store, you'd have to take up, say, the produce prep area or the produce area or some grocery staging part of the store. And so the idea was just, since the carts were right there and on a standard prototype, that's where the carts are normally kept. They're to the right of the vestibule is where the cart storage area is. So they have asked that they add that back in to the project.
Is there any future of that potential cart storage area becoming retail space?
No.
Oftentimes I've seen that done in the vestibules of markets.
No.
That the carts go outside and then it's all converted to retail space.
Yeah, there is marketing items in the vestibule already, and that will remain. What this will be just carts. It'll just be carts from the new wall all the way to where the wall is removed. And what they do is, what they're done is they put a small overhead door on the other side where they feed the carts in from the exterior that way and not come in, the front door. So their plans is to not have any marketing, any merchandise except carts in that space.
Thank you.
Why wasn't this done in the original plans? Why is it now an expansion?
Originally, the store was larger than 30,000. We applied, I think we got civil approval, but then we applied for building permits. And then somewhere along the line, it came up that it was supposed to have been through a vote for anything over 30,000. Had to go, I guess, before either your board or some other board. And so it went before that and failed. So then what we did was went back and reduced the size of the store.
So now it's going to be expanded using this as the workaround.
Trying to get this for the carts. The rest of they're not. The store originally like 38,000 square feet. So currently the store is like 29,996. So all they want to do is add the cart storage. They don't want to add any other part of the store or anything.
But is there a guarantee that it's only going to be used for shopping carts? I mean, I know you're saying that's what it's going to be used for, but could it not be a week from now, 2 years from now, used for some other purpose?
Well, I think if Food Line did use it for another purpose, then I think it would probably come back to Food Line, the fact that now they'd have complaints again from the customers, because where would the carts be? The carts would, I guess, be back outside under the canopy. And so they're expanding the cart corral just so that they have carts within the store for the customers.
Thank you. And Kelly, I might have a question for you. This is probably more for you. The 30,000 square foot limit, can you explain that and why it's now a conditional use permit?
Yeah.
Question?
In our zoning ordinance, any retail establishment greater than 30,000 square feet in a business zoned district, which this is, requires the use permit. Anything less than 30,000 does not, just a site plan. That's why they're back asking for it.
I have a question. So there is currently a roof over the carts, correct?
Pardon me?
There is currently a roof over the carts.
Yes, there is. There's under the canopy.
Couldn't you just put another door in to the side so that
Well,
customers stay out of the elements?
We had actually talked about one of the options to put a door there, but the problem is you end up with 3 automatic doors there together, which means they're probably going to be open all the time, and
Right.
because they overlap each other. So, and one of the complaints was wind, rain. If it's nice solid rain, it's not so bad, but if the wind's blowing, then the canopy does not protect the carts.
Sure.
And the fact that most customers are used to coming into the store and finding the carts and not, one of the complaints was that a lot of people came in, looked for the carts, and would have to go back outside and then find them and then until they learned the store.
I shop at that store.
Oh, you
so,
stop at that store?
Yes.
Mr. Chairman, a question. And I guess to confirm too, there's no change in the overall footprint of the
No.
site. There's no changes in the roof lines, no
No.
additional water
No.
shedding or anything like that. It's
No,
just
everything
the same
underneath
as
the
it
existing
was
canopy,
before.
just enclosing, put some walls there to enclose that part of the canopy to make the cart storage area.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Okay.
Oh, Madam Chair. Oh.
No, I was just, my question is how come originally Food Line didn't incorporate having this inside the building to start with, knowing they had a 30,000 square footage thing when they got denied for the cup originally to have a bigger store? Why didn't you just originally do that inside the store and not have to do this now? When most food lines I go to, it is enclosed and it's always inside. Why was this not one enclosed?
I might be able to answer that. I'm Lane Adams. I'm with Retail Business Services from Clemens, North Carolina. So I'm part of the service entity for Food Line. I think when the original plans were approved and we wanted to stay under the 30,000 square feet, one of the challenges was our normal prototype would be 35,000 square foot building, and all of the food categories, fresh, the center store, everyone's vying to try to serve the customer by providing the selection that you would normally find in a prototype food line. So when we were reduced to 30,000 square feet for a total building, everyone had to give up things. And I think that the merchandising categories wanted to retain as much as they could and not provide necessarily sales area for carts. And so they thought that we'll design the store where the carts are external, outside under the canopy. And then as we opened and got feedback from customers, and it was realized that it really would be nice to have those carts in a area to the side of the vestibule, so when a customer comes in those entry doors, they can pull a cart and then go into the other stores, the other doors into the sales floor. So it was realized from feedback from customers and the operators that they really needed an enclosed one bay there for carts to come in. Right now, there's just a handful of carts as you go in that first door. There's a few on the side and a few on the side over here, which really tightens up that vestibule to where it's pretty tight for the customers coming in and going out there. So
It would be nice to have that. Can you tell me what the new square footage will be?
I think we're talking about
Well, see,
200
that's
or
what I'm trying to say. It's
250
not like
square
it's
feet
going-
more.
Right, okay. So
then-
it's not going up to 38,000.
Oh,
It's
no, no,
only
no,
250
we're just
square
getting-
feet.
yeah.
That's the point I'm trying to make. It's
Just-
only 250 square feet.
Right, just one
Right.
bay of that canopy would be enclosed for the carts.
Madam Chair. I know back at the original Food Lion 3 years ago when it was denied, and then when y'all went to this prototype of 30,000, I believe they even questioned our county administrator about not including the refrigeration space to be considered part of the 30,000 square feet. They wanted to not include that as square footage. And they were told the only way they could do that is if it was an outbuilding on the back of the store.
A refrigeration
A
that was
refrigeration
outside.
outside and coming in. And last year, I actually talked to somebody in Food Lion and suggested, I think what Ms. Pearson had said, about why not put a third door on that side. And I even went as far as telling them to put a 4-foot canopy around the outside of that roof there, because I know the rain does blow in there. And a third door, we wouldn't even be sitting here tonight having this discussion. That I would have thought would have been a pretty easy fix, to do the third door and a canopy across the front and around the corner to protect that area where the carts are. Because my biggest concern is if we do this way, then we're setting a precedent for anybody else that comes in and just wants to go over the threshold of 30,000 square feet. That's going to start something that once we do it once, we can't ever look back and say, nope, we can't do that. Because we do it for Food Lion, we'll have to do it for the next person, and the next person that comes along and wants to make a change to that 30,000 square feet. So that's my issue with that, when it could have been fixed with a third door and a canopy a year ago. And I don't remember who I talked to at Food Lion, but that was my suggestion to them at that time. Canopy and a third
Especially
door.
when the other Food Lion on 249 is set up exactly that same way.
Right. I mean, it's just, I'm not crazy about setting precedents when it comes to changing statute limitations on buildings. I don't think it's a good idea for our county to start doing that in the long run. So, but like I said, a third door and a canopy to me would have solved a whole lot of problems.
I think one of the issues possibly is that the vestibule serves as an energy insulator for the energy code. I'm not sure if Virginia requires a vestibule for the International Energy Code, but having just another door would, as Mr. Stone said, it would virtually stay open all the time. So you negate your ability to save energy, but with the vestibule, if that door's constantly open.
Not if you hadn't had the front door in the first place. That's the way the one on 249 is set up. There's no front door. There's a side door only.
Right. I think I haven't been by that store. I don't know. You know, it's definitely an older store under an older version of the building code. But
If I remember correctly, there was a lot of controversy about that Food Lion. So you kind of understand where we're coming from on this. It's an after the fact kind of thing that could have been solved in the beginning.
well, I wasn't at the zoning hearings at that time, but I guess we were trying to stay within the 30,000 square feet, and that's where we elected to try to make sacrifices.
Mr. Chairman, Ms. Chairwoman. This is some new Kent fault, okay? As the gentleman said, they brought this to us, and somewhere along the line, it got approved at 35,000 square feet. And then, no. Downstairs, the original got approved. And then finally, somebody found out that wasn't allowed, that it needed a board, it wasn't a by right, and they had to come back. And so they took a spot 50 by 100 feet out of their store and brought it back as soon as they could to be able to get in timetable to be able to build it. And I'll go with they forgot about the carts. Now, I'm also agreeing with Tommy that maybe something else can be done besides this. And I think the precedent is probably would be my problem with it the most. But to give it the situation that it deserves, it wasn't. It was an awkward situation for the county. And so, that's, the background on it. Thank you.
So if your request is denied or moves forward is denied by the Board of Supervisors, what other options do you have to satisfy customers if this is not approved?
Well, we might be able to look at a third door. I'm not sure. We'd have to go back to our operations and if that door essentially is left open all the time, that also affects, one of the issues is cashiers and people at the checkouts. When you've got doors that are open and you get during the winter, you get wind that comes in and that was one of the things that we tried to do with our vestibule is to try to mitigate those kinds of weather conditions and meet what's being desired by energy codes these days with vestibules. So I'm not sure without researching the code if that door would be even possible to entertain. But other than that, I'm not sure what we would do to have an alternative.
If there are no further questions, I will now open up the citizens' comment portion of the public hearing and receive any comments. No one has signed up for any comment portion, so Mr. Chairman, I will close the public hearing and turn it back to you.
Thank you, Dr. Schmidt. The chair will entertain a motion or a
Discussion. Oh, I got one other discussion. Is it possible to make the area for the carts 69 square feet less? Due to the fact that would be 29,999 square feet, and we would have set no precedent.
Can I pause the applicant for just a moment, please?
Cut it back. Make it.
Never mind.
Thank you.
Thank you.
You bet.
I don't know. They were ready to answer. They were going to be able to do it.
Motion or discussion?
So I would comment that along with the point that Mr. Tiller made, in this case, the deviation is only this much, but then the next time this comes up, it's this much, and the next time it's this much, right? And so that's the concern, is that creep that could occur. And this issue by itself seems like a small issue. However, the precedent aspect of it is that's the concern.
Thank you, Mr. Larshell. Ms. Berry, would you please read what Ms. Rose had reasoned in her mind, please?
Yes. While I was not particularly in favor of another Food Lion being developed in that area, which is in very close proximity to my home, this store with the smaller footprint has been a good addition. I know that there was a lot of debate, and in fact, Food Lion had to go back to the drawing board to keep the footprint below the ordinance limit of 30,000 square feet. But I have found that the store is well laid out and is well stocked and provides a better customer experience. I also hope Food Lion gains some valuable insight into development of smaller, profitable stores. I think time will tell if there are still any potential issues with the ingress and egress of 249, but that is not the subject of this request. I have no issues with the requested CUP. They are not expanding their footprint in any real measure and are working to make the customer experience better. Laura.
Thank you, Ms. Berry. Ms. Berry just read what was Ms. Rose's reflections. Ms. Berry's not casting a vote on this for Ms. Rose at all. She's just reading her comments on this. Again, I will entertain a motion. Now we're going to continue discussion by roll. Dr. Schmidt, anything to add to discussion?
No.
Ms. Butler?
I can make a motion.
Please do.
I move to forward application CUP 0622 to the New Kent County Board of Supervisors with an unfavorable recommendation for the following reasons. The zoning change required because it's the limit of 30,000 and because it sets a precedent for others as a workaround.
The motion is to deny the application. Roll call, please. Again, the motion is to deny the application. Positive vote means you deny.
Mr. Moyer?
Aye.
Ms. Pearson?
Aye.
Ms. Butler?
Aye.
Dr. Schmidt?
Aye.
Mr. La Rochelle?
Aye.
Mr. Davis?
Nay.
Mr. Tiller?
Abstain.
Mr. Bennett?
Nay. Thank you. Unfortunately, your motion has not passed. It will be referred to the Board of Supervisors without a favorable recommendation. Thank you for your presentation tonight. Good luck. That concludes our public hearings for tonight. Is there any new business? Ms. Duke? None, as she shakes her head. Okay. Moving on, we have my chairman's report, and I have several items I'd like to bring to the commission, and I'll keep this brief. On February 2nd, Mr. Davis and I met with the planning staff, which included Matt Smoldick, Amy Inman, Ms. LeDuc, Ms. Berry, and the two of us. We were discussing a few items on time limits of presentations and limiting or scheduling presentations. And the result of that discussion is that the staff will try to schedule out any presentations so that it does not elongate the night. But as far as limiting our discussions, we will follow Robert's Rules of Orders on limiting discussions. We also discussed AFDs, if they could be a consent agenda item versus individual public hearings. However, state statute does not allow us to do that. Okay. Second thing is I asked of the staff if there were any standing committees that were being overlooked in the last couple of years. The reply was no. However, we do have a limited staff in the planning department. And they thought that where the Planning Commission could help immensely was in the review of definitions in the zoning ordinance and the review of conditional uses versus permitted uses in the various zoning classifications. So I would like to see, not tonight, but maybe at the next meeting, volunteers who would like to lead these committees in examination of these two items. definitions and conditional versus permitted uses at the next meeting. I would think just a committee of two. This is not a standing committee, it's just a kind of advisory committee to the Planning Commission. And this is a good time to begin that because we are comp plan followed up by zoning ordinance and subdivision ordinance in the next couple of years. Third item on our agenda was certification of our planning commissioners. I believe there's just a few of us that have not gone through that program. I believe it's really beneficial from those people who have attended that, that training. And I think Ms. Ledoux is going to poll those people that have not attended and see if we can't get them on an agenda to attend in the next year or so. And then finally, on that, in that meeting, Ms. Inman plans to meet with each of you individually, just to, as get to know the individual commissioners, figure out how you're made up, and so she can best respond to your individual inquiries. Final thing, thank you. My time.
I'm trying to turn it off.
And the final thing is, based upon some comments that we had at the last meeting, I was planning to, it wasn't so much enacted tonight because it was going to be very brief, but I've planned to not so much change the way we do our discussions and votes and things of that nature on public hearings, but try to make it so it's a little bit shorter and a little more intense so that we don't lose focus. So these are the slight procedural changes, and I believe they still, as in my review of the bylaws for us, they still follow the bylaws. So number one is immediately after the close of the public hearing and the chairman asks for the pleasure of the commission, that's where I'm going to ask for a motion. There can be a short discussion, but it's going to be very informal. The formal discussion will come after the motion, after a motion's made. Then we can make a discussion, and I will do that by poll. I'll ask each individual if they have anything to add to that discussion. Once we commence to conclude the poll, then I'll again ask for a motion. Is at that time, if somebody feels that at the time there we have discussion that it feels like it's gone too long, then somebody can call the question, by which we will go to an immediate vote, a hand vote. If it passes, that they call the call to question passes, we'll go to an immediate vote on the motion. So those are the briefs of the changes that I see in the public hearing proceedings. After that, we are next on the agenda is a Plan RVA report, and I think you said there was not going to be any meeting this month?
No, there wasn't a meeting in January. There was a meeting in February.
Okay.
February 9th, there was a meeting, and it was the first meeting for me at their new location on Hull Street. And it's very nice, I might say. Everything was just the normal business meeting, except for they had a special program at the end, which was a presentation on scenario planning. And basically, that's just planning on steroids, in my opinion. And being the finance person that I am, it kind of overwhelmed me. But I was just going to talk about a couple of the slides that they presented. So Pathways to the Future, they're looking out to 2050. And it says long-range planning by design looks out far enough to capture substantive regional change in land use, economics, and other regional dynamics. This allows regional leaders to anticipate threshold level changes that might be planned for, as well as to consider how to avoid undesirable outcomes with enough time to manage the ripple effects of the near-term decisions. And then it says long-range planning benefits from examining a range of plausible futures through scenario planning. The futures vary based on key regional drivers of change, including community factors, land use, housing, economics, and other factors such as climate resiliency and technology. and it's just predicting the future from the past. Long-range planning traditionally depends on data from the past to identify correlations that become the basis for predicting the future. And I can share the whole presentation if anybody is interested. Just let me know and I will send it to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Pearson. Next is commissioner reports, and I'll do that by roll call. Mr. LaRochelle, anything to report?
No, sir.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Schmidt?
No.
Thank you. Ms. Butler?
No.
Ms. Pearson?
No, sir.
Mr. Davis?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Just to update with the comp plan update steering committee, the last Zoom meeting with the vendor, EPR, and county staff was on February 15th. Where we are at this point, the vendor, EPR, is focusing on transportation analysis at this time, and they've been tasking county staff for a lot of information. I know that Kelly and them have been quite busy with this. And they plan on meeting with the county's board of road viewers. They're trying to schedule that. I think they're also trying to get insight on potential transportation projects and funding prioritization. Also, there will be a second round of public engagement that's coming up this spring. They're looking at an April or May launch for that, and we anticipate a steering committee meeting of the full group in March or April to coordinate at that point. There's discussion on using or possibility of using countywide mailing to increase participation. We weren't necessarily pleased with the overall numbers in the engagement or mainly through the surveys. And also we're going to look at maybe based on a recommendation or comment from Mr. Bennett about re-asking some of the same survey questions again at a later time for anybody who has not been yet engaged. And they also will be looking at existing PUDs regarding land use. That's another, the transportation land use will be the big items that they're working on this spring. And so they're going to look at the existing PUDs as far as try to develop a land use analysis regarding residential versus commercial aspects. And that is it for me.
Thank you, Mr. Davis. Mr. Moyer? No. Thank you, Mr. Moyer. One other item from the Commissioner's report. Mr. Davis and I attended the groundbreaking ceremony for Fire Station number 4 that occurred last Thursday, was it? Okay, okay, the 10th, okay. About 100 people in attendance there, including some representatives from the neighboring jurisdictions. It was pretty neat. I think they could have had the foundation dug that day with as many people as turning a shovel. Don't you, Mr. Choller?
I agree 100%.
A final thing, and I may ask Ms. LeDuc to speak up to this, is I noticed a new item on the website, the Land Development Viewer. Okay, and I don't know how many of the commissioners know of that. I practiced it, and it seems a little bit sketchy right now, but it looks okay. But I don't do Facebook, so okay. If you could kind of recap a little bit for the commissioners.
I will try to anyway. So over the past couple of months, as we've been putting together these Excel spreadsheets with our latest plan review, we've also been working on the Land Development Viewer. That's what we're calling it right now, which can always change. But working very closely with Matt Forbes in our GIS office. He's the one who puts it all together, and then Krista from admin helps get it launched on the website. So we do update it weekly. Not a whole lot changes from week to week, but month to month it certainly does. So yeah, I invite you to please take a look at it. And like Mark was saying, if you have comments or suggestions, it's a work in progress. We can always tweak it. But yeah, there's a link to it right from the county's homepage. There's a link on the GIS page, the planning page. And it seems to be very popular, and we've gotten a lot of questions. But it's a better way, just to kind of let people know what's going on.
So if you see something going on in your neighborhood, you can look on the Land Viewer. It gives you a tiny bit of information on it.
It does.
So,
And please do.
Yeah.
Call us. No. Yeah, we try.
thank you.
You're welcome.
Staff reports, and it's you again.
Yes. I was very, very sick at the last planning commission meeting, so I was absent. But I heard Mr. Hathaway just kind of said that I could address the annual report at this meeting, so I included it again in your packets. This is something that is required in the bylaws, and we just passed it along to the board to give them an update on the planning commission action from the previous year. I laid it out in the same format as the past couple of years, with the meeting synopses, the public hearings, and then the attendance, the population projections and estimates, and then how many applications we processed throughout the year. So if there's any questions I can answer, or I think if we could do like a voice vote just to forward it to the board, don't need to do a roll call, just by acclamation.
Anybody opposed to forwarding this information to the board, please say aye. Being none, pass it
Okay.
to the board.
I will do that. Thank you.
You're welcome.
And I do have an update from Liberty Landing. They have been back in touch, and they are 99% finished with the revisions that the staff had requested with their application. So, and a matter of fact, tomorrow, their paralegals coming to our office to swap out application materials that we still have with the new stuff to get rid of the old stuff. So I can anticipate after maybe one more staff round of reviews, they'll be ready to come to y'all. So maybe April, that's what we're shooting for. Yeah, they may want to come March to present their updates, but that's up to them. And then, as always, the monthly reports are included. I know they're kind of hard to read, but we can't really figure out any way to make them better. I'm trying to fit them on this size paper. Even I'm like, yeah.
Ms. Leduc,
Yes.
do you think their changes are substantial enough that they need to broadcast what those are before the public hearing? I mean, when I say before the actual public hearing, because I just don't want to waste time when there's a very good chance that we'll reiterate the same information over again.
Yeah. I think they gave their first presentation to y'all December, maybe. So it's been December of last year.
Yeah.
So it's been a while. I don't think that their proposed changes to their uses and their layout, that hasn't changed. What the staff was concerned with was their environmental assessment paperwork that was very outdated, and their fiscal impact analyses. They didn't take into account a lot of the new subdivisions that have been approved recently, and that, of course, impacts the school system especially. So one of the requests from the schools was to update their impact analyses. So that's mainly what changed. They could come back and address that, but as far as the land use and the layout stuff that you guys would be most interested in, that hasn't changed.
So we asked them not to use the James City County population?
Yes, we did. We caught a lot of those little errors.
Where
Yeah.
half the population is retired and has no kids?
Right.
Yeah, that was,
Yeah,
that was a big nix on that.
There were
that's for
some
sure.
pretty significant issues with their first round, so. Yep. We'll see what they come up with when they bring it back tomorrow, and like I said, we're gonna go through it again pretty closely.
Okay. Make your best discretion as to whether or not the presentation is warranted.
Yeah, I'll know better after we get a chance to look at everything.
Thank you very much.
Yep, you're welcome, guys.
If there is no other things that we need to discuss, the next meeting tentatively is scheduled for Monday, March 20. Actually, it's not Monday, March 20th, is it? Oh, it is Monday. Sorry. Monday, March 20th at 6:30 in this room. That is a tentative. We'll see what the future lies for us. If there's not anything else, I will. Yes, sir, Mr. Teller.
Just one comment, or maybe two. Back to your comment about the Station 4 groundbreaking
Yes,
last
sir.
week. And that was really a nice event, and I think you're right, we could have dug the foundation a day. But with that being said, with the need for more fire stations in New Kent County, there was a devastating fire in my neighborhood over the weekend where a family, when I say they lost everything, the foundation and the brick wall on the front of the house, it's all that's left standing. And I just wanted to thank Henrico County because they stepped in for help. And they also, while we were tied up, they manned Station 2 for us in the process. So a shout out to Henrico Fire and Rescue for their continued support and need, as well as Hanover County, City of West Point, James City County. All of our surrounding neighbors have all been very generous with their help over the years. So, but this past Sunday was a big help.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tiller. If there's nothing else on the agenda, I will call for a motion.
I make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you, Mr. Moyer. This meeting's adjourned. It is 7:20, I believe. 7:20. Thank you.